This is Friday evening's Undercard. On our wrestling show today, Bobby Heenan wants to see Ken Patera in a body cast. Canada's greatest athlete, Iron Mike Sharpe, wins a match. And Ricky Steamboat does a bad interview. Welcome, wrestling fan, to Friday evening's Undercard. I'm Gentleman John. He's electrifying Eric. How you doing, Eric?
Good. So I hear you have some power problems down there in Virginia.
Yeah, man, we're having some issues. So if the audio's terrible, you know why. They're wrestling fans. The power is not only out in my house, but it's out in like the whole neighborhood that I can see around me. So probably at least 500 houses. But
nice. This is like the
we have,
what was it? The in your house beware of dog when they lost power.
That was the one in where was
down
it?
South Carolina.
Florence, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Florence when they lost it. So
yeah. Yeah, it went out and like lost the pay-per-view feed, but they kept them out there with just like the emergency lights. I can't imagine that.
yeah, so that's what we're doing here. The show must go on.
Yeah, show must go on. Speaking of the show, May 18th of 1987, prime time. In the opening segment, there's two great quotes from Heenan. He said that Ken Patera should be in a body cast from the eyebrows down. I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, I mean, tell us how you really feel, Brain. But no, I think, this is really, Bobby's playing up the whole neck thing. This is going to become, I think, a recurring theme. And I think also, I mean, if you know the real life story, I mean, he did have severe neck issues. So.
Yeah, when did those neck issues happen? Like, when did it, become a thing?
I think it's around this time. I know he certainly had the issues in WCW. When he was there.
Yeah, because that's when he blew up at Brian Pillman on live TV.
Yeah, so I mean, from what I've read, it was kind of around this time. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, think about all the crazy bumps he took in his career. That's not good for the neck. So I don't know. I mean, part of it when I watched this, knowing the history, I'm kind of clearly it's a work. But there's enough of a shoot there where it's it's believable.
Yeah, did
he's actually living with it.
Did he just incorporate it into the work?
Yeah, and, I mean, of course, very much as we said last week, very much a heel, standard heel move. Wear the foam neck brace. I question everybody with that.
Yeah, or any, how do I want to say it? Any covering of a body part.
Yes.
Be it a neck brace or Bob Orton with the forearm cast that we mentioned in an earlier episode, or for anybody that watches Mid-South, with Ted DiBiase started out with the glove because he had his hand bandaged and then he had a glove on it, and then it just became a gimmick that he would load up to knock somebody out.
Exactly. So, I mean, classic pro wrestling standards there, if we will.
Yeah,
I did get a bit of a
heel
pop.
stuff there.
Yeah, I did get a pop when Bobby talked about his mailman has a hunchback from carrying all his get well cards, and I loved that you could actually hear the people in the background laughing at that.
Oh man, yeah. There was another great line from Heenan where he said, "This is probably going to go way over the head of some of the younger listeners out there." When he says, "I don't call collect, I'm not cheap."
Yeah. For our younger fans, just Google it. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, just figure out how to call collect. 1-800-COLLECT was Carrot Top, the comedian.
Yeah. So, after this kind of standard primetime intro, and I think we should just talk about how good week in and week out those intros are between Monsoon and Heenan.
Yes.
Every week. They are
fantastic.
There's not a bad week with them. Which, I mean, I get the sense of they seem to have been, they seem very much to have a sense of improv to it. You know, I don't get the sense these guys were working on their script all day. You know, I think they just kind of went to it, and I think it really says a lot about the chemistry that those two had together.
Yeah, and you know, I think we talked about it last week, or maybe not, but we definitely talked about it before. Nowadays, I think everything is just scripted to the max, and people are just handed lines to say as if they're a stage actor, right? But back during this time, I think everything was planned, but it was storyboarded rather than being scripted. So you would just say, hey, this is going to be what gets said, and then you guys just react from there, you know?
Yeah, I think that's just, you know, I think a lot of performers today would be better served with that. I mean, I think it worked in the Attitude Era in a lot of cases. I think it's worked historically because I think it allows a performer's real personality to kind of shine. And I think we've seen with any gimmick, it's always the performer playing that gimmick. But when that gimmick can kind of take on elements of who that person actually is, it's a lot more believable. I think it just comes across much better on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you want to get to that first match?
Yeah, let's get into it. Brutus the Barber Beefcake versus Johnny V.
Johnny V, absolutely. If you remember from last week, that ring canvas looks very similar. Boston Garden, May 2nd, 1987. Monsoon and Alfred Hayes on the commentary, and that ring is messed up. Lord Alfred Hayes, yes. And that ring canvas is messed up because Hogan. Yes, indeed. Hulk Hogan got busted open in a match with Harley Race. And I went back and watched that match. Hogan took like a couple headbutts from Race, and then he basically gigged himself as he was falling down. So I don't know if maybe he cut a little too deep, or when he took the bump, like he gigged himself again or something, but he was busted open.
Got to get that juice, brother.
I mean, it was bad. It was like going down onto his tights and all kinds of stuff. It was like the whole front of his tights was just covered with blood.
Why does it sound like it's actually a bad WCW Dungeon of Doom angle?
Well, that's true.
It's like, the more you're describing, I'm like, is this 1980s WWF, or are we talking like Dungeon of Doom here? So
yeah.
But I digress.
I think we spent longer talking about Hulk Hogan getting juiced than the match lasted.
Yeah, not really much to this match, really.
Yeah, no. Brutus wins with a sleeper. The ref made him wake him up. I thought that was funny. And then you obviously get Monsoon and Bobby Heenan bouncing back and forth with each other, trying to debate the difference between a chokehold and a sleeper.
Absolutely.
Which I thought was funny.
It's all a matter of perspective, I do believe.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, Brutus won that one. On to the next one. You get another one from the same card, but because we don't actually care about like continuity and stuff here, this one has the clean canvas because this one happened before Hogan got juice. And you get Canada's greatest athlete, Iron Mike Sharpe, against Sivi.
Well, and you know, some of our fans, some of our listeners out there might remember Iron Mike Sharpe from even in the 90s as really being kind of a jobber who would show up every now and then. And to me, he's one of those like classic jobbers I think of in that era. I mean, he's not the gambler of George South, but he's up there.
I have a note here that Sivi looks a lot like Jimmy Snuka. He's wearing the blue trunks. I don't know if the listeners have noticed out there. People that wear blue trunks on the WWF, they tend to be the ones that are losing.
That is a good point.
I forget when I first heard that one come up, but somebody was like, yep, and so-and-so came to the ring wearing the baby blue trunks, and you just knew it was over. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, yep. I think it was Jinder Mahal that wore, like, blue trunks to the Royal Rumble this year, and he got eliminated in, like, 10 seconds, and I was like, oh, curse of the blue trunks.
maybe we should do some more research on this Curse the Blue Trunks thing. There might be something going here.
I think I'll just notice it as we go through the process.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Just make a little note here. Because Sivi did lose this match.
Yeah.
To Iron Mike Sharpe.
Yeah, so, Canada.
Oh, Canada. Mike Sharpe won after reversing a top rope crossbody and holding on to the tights. And my last note says, my gosh, this was a very long match between two jobbers. 9 minutes and 37 seconds seemed like 30.
Jobbermania, brother.
Jobbermania. And I think that's just about all we've got as far as this one goes.
Yeah, we can move on from this one.
The next one, you end up with a Harley Race promo saying he wants to wrestle Hulk Hogan. Do you have anything for that? I didn't actually take any notes on it, really.
No, of course, he does the kind of, sort of playing up the whole king aspects, make Hogan bow down and kneel to the king, but just think about it. You could have had, like, Harley Race in his prime going up against Hogan in his prime.
That would have been actually
a really great match. Like, this is sort of the tail end of Race's career, but it's one of these, like, this would have been actually a really great match, maybe even, 5 years ago before this. Yes,
because at this point, Harley was sort of on the way out. I think he was just cashing checks at this point, really.
Oh, yeah. But still one of the legitimate, like, tough guys in the business.
Oh, for sure. And so we'll have to see where this goes. I mean, they were working a program on the house shows. Obviously, we talked about it at the Garden where Hogan got busted open. And then I guess after Hogan got busted open, he came back out and said he wanted Race the next month in a Texas death match.
I mean, that's a logical progression. I mean, anytime I have an argument with somebody, that's usually how it escalates.
Yes, Texas death match.
Yeah,
and now, this is another one of the things that probably needs to be explained for some of the newer viewers. A Texas death match is not the same as the deathmatch wrestling that you see on the Viceland documentary. Not the Dark Side of the Ring, but they did one on deathmatch wrestling a few years ago. Texas deathmatch is not the same as that garbage.
All right there, Cornette.
Well, I just don't understand it. And, I mean, a hardcore match is one thing, but, mutilating each other with power drills and, jigsaws and light bulbs and all that's just a little much.
Yeah, I think, in a hot feud, to blow that feud off, there's a time and place for that. Maybe not to that degree, but,
yeah,
I think when it just becomes every day, it loses its power.
Yeah. And so, like, the idea with the Texas death match is it's kind of a take on a last man standing match where basically, but you actually have to get a pinfall and then there's a short, like, rest between the pinfalls and then you have to make the 10 count. And I think matches like that can be done very good, and they're actually done like with regular rules, so you can be disqualified and all that. And so that's something that could just add into the match, but whatever. At the end of the day, Harley Race and Hulk Hogan, they didn't do much of a Texas death match. Hulk Hogan wasn't going to go much more than 15 minutes, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about the extent of it, brother.
So anyway, the next match on the card is from Saturday night's main event, Can-Am Connection against the Sheik and Volkoff.
Sheiky, baby.
I take it you get Martel. I make him humbles.
Yeah, this is a family show. We can't say how he will make him humble, though.
No, we can't. Or any other colorful words that he would have thrown in there.
Yeah. Kids, if you want to learn more about the Iron Sheik, go onto YouTube and Google Iron Sheik.
Yeah, just Google Iron Sheik. Don't watch any of his matches. Just watch some of his promos.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I guess this would have been, we would have already covered this one, Saturday Night Main Event episode. So.
Yeah, we did. You know, the only thing really, if you want to go back and listen to the whole coverage, go back and take a look. Really, the only thing this does is it gets over the Duggan feud.
Exactly.
You know, it's Duggan. The Can-Am connection is they're just sort of a bit part. The real deal is that they're working the program with Sheik and Volkoff against Hacksaw.
Exactly. So
works every time. You've got a commie and an Arab against a guy running around with an American flag.
Yeah, and
we've never seen that before ever.
No, and you know, with the way the world is sort of shaping up, we don't see it again coming to a WWE ring near you sometime soon. So
yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I think
but I don't know. They're going to Fox, so we may not be able to get away with stuff like that anymore.
Well, yeah, it's very true. But yeah, you know, of course this kind of harkens back to, you know, the long tradition wrestling has had of taking sort of current events and inserting them into the card and in the storyline.
Well, you know, they sort of did. They've done that. I don't want to say too recently because it was really probably about 5 years ago, but I mean, they did that with Rusev.
Yeah.
When he debuted, the hero of the Russian Federation or whatever it was that they called him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, even pretty recently they've done that.
I think this too. I mean, think about even in like, you know, after World War II, if you wanted a heel, you would often make them Japanese or German.
Yeah, Japanese or German. Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you wouldn't honestly have them, you know, really sort of coming out there like a Nazi per se, but everybody knew what you were getting at. And then of course, you know, during the Cold War, we're going to see it being the Soviets. We have the hostage crisis that becomes the Iron Sheik. You know, and we even saw that, you know, even after 9/11 with some of the takes that WWE did with some of their feuds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably the only person ever. Yeah, I was going to say probably the only person ever who was thrown off of professional wrestling because the network said, I'm not having that guy on my TV.
Yeah, and of course, you know, the masked terrorists attacking the Undertaker on the same day as the London bombing. You know, of course,
that didn't help him.
There's it's one of those, I kind of see what's going on here. And of course, I mean, most famously, the Sergeant Slaughter heel turn during the Gulf War.
Absolutely.
You know, so it certainly plays a role. I think it's something that is as old as professional wrestling itself, and I think it's something that we will never probably see go away. I think we'll always see some form of it one way or the other.
Yeah, I think so. Do you remember the skit on, I don't remember which one of Cornette's shows, it was probably the drive-thru, where they asked him what, like, the most tasteless or something promotional deal he remembers is?
I think I missed that one.
It was a while back. I'll send you the link to it. I'm not going to be the one to repeat it here. If someone wants to hear it, I'll put the link somewhere in the description and you can listen to it. But, oh gosh. He said that somebody up in like one of the old Buffalo territories, like Buffalo, New York, he got on the mic and said something like, what's the difference in an apple pie and a Jewish guy?
Oh boy.
And it's like, oh gosh. Like, I'm not even going to finish that one. I'll put the link in if you want to check that out. But holy smokes! I mean, that you can imagine where it goes.
So what you're saying is this is not a be a star moment.
No.
Okay.
No, this is not something that no. This will get you thrown off TV quick.
Yeah, because I mean, I always ask myself, you know, now with the product, is this a be a star moment? You know, so
yeah, but I mean, in all seriousness, do they really care? Because they're not doing nothing to that that clown that said all that stuff on those message boards?
You know, I did read today that he got fined $100,000 and had to go to sensitivity training.
Yes, I read that too. So once again, back to my comment, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, be a star.
You know, my first response when all that stuff came out about him was, if they don't fire him for saying that, it will prove to me what I have believed for a long time, that Hulk Hogan was not fired for what he said. He was fired because there was some other excuse, and that gave him a convenient reason.
Well, and I think, you know, my sense too is, it's not like this is news. Supposedly WWE knew about this ahead of time. Like, so I mean, my sense is, I mean, yeah, the guys, you know, got this look, they like him, but in the end, is it worth that baggage? You know?
Yeah,
I don't know. If it was me
but, you
and
know,
I'm running the show, you know, who knows?
You know, it's not like back in the old days where somebody would just back him in a corner and beat the crap out of him. You know, nobody's going to do that now.
No.
You know?
No, things aren't handled like they used to be.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, we have another match from the Boston Garden on this lovely episode of Prime Time. Frenchy Martin against Nick Kiniski. I really don't know what to say about it.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think
match
about.
Is joined in progress.
Thankfully,
Kiniski won with like a bridge suplex. That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, Lord Alfred does mention that Kiniski's father was a salty, salty beast. There's that.
You know, I was wondering. I should have looked up the spelling. Is Nick Kiniski any relation to Gene Kiniski?
That's a good question. We might have to do a little research on that.
Yeah. Anyway, he won. Nick Kiniski won. Yeah, surely he was going to win that match. He's going against the manager.
Yeah, you can't job to a manager.
No, that wouldn't look good.
But yeah, I mean, I think
week,
pretty much it is what it is. Moving on.
Yeah, it's just there. Next, you get Gene Okerlund doing an interview with Ricky Steamboat. What are your notes on this one? And I will give mine.
You know, this is like, Ricky Steamboat might be like the squeakiest clean baby face in the history of pro wrestling.
I can agree with that.
Like, I mean, yeah, he's talking about like his soon to be arriving son. So I guess Little Dragon.
Yeah, Little Dragon.
It's just like, I think it's, it's just, once again, a very like super baby face promo for Ricky Steamboat. And which I think is why he, you know, it's kind of amazing that, at least to my knowledge, I can't ever remember Ricky Steamboat being a heel in my mind.
No. Gosh, no, I can't think of it.
Like, maybe in some smaller territory at one time, maybe, but to my, you know, as long as I've been watching old matches, he has always been like that squeaky clean baby face. And this just kind of, you know,
definitely since the early 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was just kind of my take on it. Just a very, you know, just white bread, squeaky clean, babyface promo.
So I ended up looking at like some of the mechanics of it, and is it just me, or did he seem like unbelievably like wooden as he was standing there?
Yeah, I can get where you're coming from on that.
So my notes, why is Steamboat not looking at the camera? He's looking down. Steamboat was terrible. He must have note cards on the floor.
Well, in his defense, he's got a lot on his mind. Little Dragon, soon to arrive.
Well, yes, he does. I'll give him that. But this is up there with like the worst promos from people who you would reasonably expect to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, listen, this is not up there with Scott Steiner when he starts doing math, or Sid Vicious when he asks to do it over. But man, this is up there. It's up there.
You know,
as far as like people who you would think are going to do good.
This makes me kind of want to go now to Georgia to the Shoney's that Scott Steiner manages. One, because I haven't been to a Shoney's in a long time.
And two, my question is, do they do real math or do they do Scott Steiner math there?
Oh, that would be fantastic.
I think that would be a valuable question.
I'm going to have to look up where this Shoney's is.
Yeah, it's down in like somewhere in Georgia, I think like the suburbs of Atlanta. So.
Oh, I'm not going to be close to Atlanta. I can't do that. I'm not driving to Atlanta to eat Shoney's.
Yeah, but we can meet one half the Steiner brothers.
Rick lives right outside of Atlanta too. He's a real estate agent, and I think he's on the school board.
That's awesome.
Of whichever county's like just north of Atlanta.
I would always vote for the dog-faced gremlin.
Yeah, I'd vote for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is when I looked him up to try to get an interview with him for the Crockett Cup, I ended up with two emails. I ended up with like a real estate email and a school board email.
That's awesome.
I sent one to the real estate email and he didn't respond.
Well,
anyway, next match, the Gladiator against Jimmy Jack Funk, the long-lost brother of Terry and Dory, and Barry O against the British Bulldogs and Tito Santana. From a Wrestling Challenge taping on March 22nd of 87, so we're going back once again before WrestleMania 3, at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Phoenix, Arizona. 10,900 people in attendance.
Yeah, I think pretty, not really much to add to this, really. It's kind of a standard match.
My first note says, I wonder who's going to win.
Well, and also, of course, we do have Matilda chasing people out of the ring.
Always.
That's always good.
I think probably the only thing that saved this match was that you had Monsoon and Heenan on commentary.
Yeah, it's not really a great match. It's just kind of,
No, you get a little back and forth, and then Tito Santana pins the Gladiator because I guess the Gladiator was the jobber amongst jobbers on that tag team.
Yeah, so we'll, I think we've talked enough about this match.
Yeah, that's pretty much
all there is to say.
And then you get the version 2.0 of the Ken Patera versus Hercules match.
Oh, yeah.
From Wrestling Challenge, aired on Superstars. We talked about that for a minute last week. April 24th of 87 from New Haven, Connecticut. I do not have an attendance figure on that. But you get Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura on commentary.
Another solid commentary team from that era. When that's
definitely.
Kind of when that's like your backup team, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that, they were like the go-to team for TV. It was Vince and Jesse and Bruno.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think once again we've talked about this before. Just this has to be the most talent ever in the announcing ranks any territory, any federation has ever had or will ever have.
Yeah, I could buy that.
You could take Monsoon, Jesse. You could take Vince and Heenan. You got Gene Okerlund doing interviews. And that can't be touched.
No, and even Alfred Hayes,
Yeah. And I think, it's kind of interesting because when I started watching pro wrestling, Vince was an announcer. You had no idea of the power and the role that he really had. Of course, we'll know that later in the late 90s, but I think so. It's kind of for some fans, they've always been used to Vince being an on-air talent in the ring as a character, not as an announcer. So I think it kind of takes
because it's been
announcer.
No, it's been 22 years since you had the deal in Montreal where he became known as the owner.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of an interesting take here.
Yeah. And, this is a relevant little comment because obviously today they just released the Tom McGee match documentary, the Bret Hart Tom McGee thing. I would wonder if there's film out there of the original Ken Patera against Hercules match. Because I think that would be kind of fun to see because like, my gosh, how bad must it have been for them to be like, no, we're not airing?
I'm sure there is. There has to be tape.
That would be an interesting one to see.
Well, maybe start a letter writing campaign, maybe our voices will be heard.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because if I know anything about the WWE, they always listen to the fans.
I think probably the easier thing would be to become friends with somebody who's like on the roster, because apparently they can still just request matches from like the vault.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll just like send them the tape so they can watch it. So, I mean, I don't know, but either way, but on that,
on the main roster, I would just like request the most random matches ever. I would be like, I want the best of Virgil.
the best of Virgil.
Not just any Virgil matches, the best of.
Oh man. But in all seriousness, I wonder how often it happened that they had to retape matches.
Yeah, I would be interested in knowing that too. I mean, because you have to think that sometimes it just doesn't click some nights.
Yeah, I know. It was Ric Flair and somebody. I don't remember if it was Macho or if it was Bret Hart. But they were doing like a TV taping somewhere, and Vince wanted them to work a match, and I guess he didn't work the match they didn't work the match that Vince wanted them to work, and he told them to towel off and get back out there.
It's a different era. Now if you have a crap match, it's live.
Yeah, this is live, pal.
Yeah, so we'll get into, I mean, then once again, there's really not really much to this match.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really know what to say. I mean, I got a couple of notes. Hercules was sort of overpowering him. I have a note here that it looks like Ken Patera has a back brace on, because it looks like you can see something like black. You remember how during the Andre match at Mania 3, like you could sometimes see that he had a back brace on under his trunks?
Right.
It almost looks like that. It looks like it's like sticking up above Patera's trunks at times. I mean, other than that, Ken Patera wins by a DQ because Harley Race comes in. Okay, so here's a question. You may know where I'm going. If you stood Ken Patera side by side with Harley Race, how much older would you say Harley Race is?
In that era?
Yeah, right then.
I mean, Patera always looked older than he was. At least to me.
So did Harley Race.
Yeah, well, Harley Race looks like, he was going on like 60 in that match.
Yeah, that's where I was going. So Ken Patera was 43 and Harley Race was 44. So
yeah.
Neither one of these guys are youngsters.
Well, and Harley Race, I think, looks like he's about to turn 30 when he turned 12. So.
Yeah, that's true.
And not just that, it's not an easy 30, it's like a hard 30. Like,
yeah.
I've been working at the sheet metal factory for 15 years.
Yeah.
And my wife just left me.
So
yeah, I think we can, clear up version 2.0 of this and move it on.
Yeah. All right, next one, Demolition and the Islanders. Boston Garden, May 2nd of 87. We've covered that May 2nd of 87 show a few times. Or no. Wait, hang on. Oh, gosh. I'm lost. Yeah, May 2nd of 87. That's when Hogan got juiced. So there you go. What is this, the fifth or sixth match from that card that's been on TV?
Yeah, about that.
Did you know who the commentators were?
I don't have that in my notes, actually.
Wait a minute. I've got it back here somewhere. Oh, Monsoon and Hayes, like we've covered that card before. So they note at one point that the Islanders, they called it a tag team elimination tournament at Madison Square Garden. The only thing I can figure is that has to be the tag team elimination battle royal from December of 86 at the Garden. We covered that battle royal on the show here. I don't actually remember if that was one of those episodes I had to do solo or if you were here for it.
I think that's one of the ones you were solo for.
Yeah, might have been. That was actually a pretty good match. You had a lot of really good people. You actually had Axe from Demolition in that match when he was working as one of the machines. So here you've got Axe. He's wearing the black and red paint, and I can't get used to it. I'm so used to him having the silver paint on.
Yeah.
That it just looks really weird.
Well, and also, I mean, we get, of course we got Haku in it, which, talking about one of the we're talking about how tough Harley Race is. By all accounts, Haku is the baddest man ever in the history of professional wrestling.
Yeah. Somebody was asking.
Every time somebody says, who's the toughest guy ever in the business, Like, it's either Haku or anybody not named Haku.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember who it was. Like, somebody asked the question of, like, who would win a fight between Brock Lesnar and Haku, I think was the one that came up. And it was like Haku in his prime and Brock, or like, what are we talking about? He's like, even now, I might take Haku because he'd probably find a way to put his thumb about 2 knuckles deep in Brock's eye socket.
Yeah.
And then it would just be all over.
Look, I love any of the stories that involve Haku and fight. Like the time when like he'll take on like an entire small town's police force by himself.
Yeah.
So legitimate like tough guy in the business. Not on screen, like he would put a hurting on you in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, he was one of those old style wrestlers. Yeah, I don't have much from it. I mean, it was a pretty decent back and forth match. You know, Fuji cheats, Demolition wins after Fuji hits Tama with a cane. So, you know, the lesser of the 2 Islanders takes the fall, and there we go.
Yeah, I did make a note. There was a period they go to commercial, and Bobby and Gorilla have kind of like, they're just doing a little banter back and forth. And like, Bobby's like casually talking about taking muscle relaxers.
Nice.
Yeah, that's, does not age well in pro wrestling.
No.
So.
Although the truth is, if all the guys were using was muscle relaxers, they probably wouldn't have a terrible problem like they do.
No, but I think it's just very odd to sort of talk about, like, kind of casually, programming. But yeah, pretty standard match here. And, moving on.
Next we get an interview. Gene Okerlund interviewing the Honky Tonk Man. Anything?
I just love that, like, he basically does, like, ask the fans to stop yelling Elvis at him because he doesn't know who he is.
Yeah. Just they call me Elvis. I don't know who Elvis is. I'm the Honky Tonk Man.
That is just so brilliant.
Yeah.
So,
he's obviously just an Elvis impersonator, right?
Like, I mean, that's like almost the equivalent of like you say something like, I've never heard of her, So.
Yeah. Well, what was it? I watched some interview or listened to some interview with Honky, and he said when they first gave him the guitar, I don't know if it's Memphis or Calgary or where it was, but they said they wanted him to come down with a guitar, and he's like, okay. They said, do you know how to play it? And he's like, nope, that's even better. And so, I guess he just went through his whole gimmick and he just has no idea how to play a guitar. He just holds it and kind of picks at it crazily.
Yeah, just like a tremendous gimmick. Like, and like normally you would think like an Elvis impersonator gimmick that had no legs, and Honky Tonk Man is still doing it to this day. So
yeah, still doing it. He's still working independent.
Yeah, so God bless him on that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Last match on the card. You get Ricky Steamboat and Butch Reed. This was from the same taping as the Ken Patera and Hercules match. And this actually aired before this on Wrestling Challenge. It came on the 17th of May of 87. Heenan and Monsoon on the commentary. I don't really have much from this match, honestly.
No. Basically it's Reed showing a lot of power in this match.
Yes. Now, I do have a note that he did a vertical suplex from the apron over the top rope.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was big stuff. But other than that, the only other note I have is that Ricky Steamboat wins a really average match via countout.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much wraps it up for the week.
Yeah, that's it. I don't remember any like back and forth banter between Heenan and Monsoon.
No, and I think what kind of disappointed me, and maybe there's no way you could have matched the week before. Like the May 11th episode was just a really great episode. This one,
right.
Like, I don't know, just kind of was like it was there, but I wasn't like overly enthused by it.
Yeah, matches were okay, but they were nothing spectacular. I don't think WWE was known during this time for having great stuff on television.
No, and I think, so much of the matches were almost filler for the interviews, and basically the hijinks of Heenan and Monsoon.
Yeah, and, I will say, now that we're getting further away from WrestleMania, we're seeing more of the sort of progression of the story coming into prime time.
Yes, very much so.
They're not as much just like standalone.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is good. We still haven't seen Hulk Hogan on another episode. We've still only seen him once, but this is probably about the fifth time we've had Demolition on the show.
Yeah, no Macho on this episode either.
No Macho.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's about it. A really kind of average episode, but we'll keep moving on.
Yeah, we will. I don't actually remember offhand when the next episode of Saturday Night's Main Event is, but, obviously at this point we're sort of in the middle where there's not a lot of, there's not what you would call like a national big event coming up until Saturday Night's Main Event, and then obviously Survivor Series come the fall.
Right.
Obviously not like now where, you got pay-per-views every, 3 weeks or something, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So I think we
Gosh,
pretty much wrap this one up here, I think.
Yeah, just one of the things. Speaking of pay-per-views, we can just for a couple of minutes mention this because it's right in our time period, because it's like we're going back 25 years to get the main event. Apparently, the announced main event for this new WWE show that's going to be in Saudi Arabia in June is going to be Goldberg against The Undertaker.
Wow.
I almost fell asleep while I was saying that sentence. I can't imagine trying to sit through that match.
That would be awesome in 1998.
Yeah, no joke. 1999, you could have sold out the world to have seen that match. But now, what? You've got, as ridiculous as it sounds, I think The Undertaker's the younger of the two.
Yeah, he might be, actually.
I mean, my gosh. Because I think he's... I don't even know.
I mean, if they weren't so repressive and not really a friendly regime, it would be funnier, but the idea is they're so behind the times there as a ruling regime in Saudi Arabia that like they're 41 years behind us in pro wrestling. So,
yeah. I guess that's a funny way to look at it.
It's like, I mean, they're still talking about that Lou Thez match they watched 17 years ago.
Yeah, they just barely got that one.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I mean, we could do an entire episode about, the kind of queasiness that relationship causes, but, hey, if somebody's willing to pay money, I guess, there we go.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, Goldberg against The Undertaker, and I'm just like, holy cow, like, you've got The Undertaker who can barely walk, and then you've got Goldberg who's wrestled, 2 or 3 matches in the last 20 years?
Yeah, and I think here's what I would do.
Well, I guess not quite 20, but 18.
Well, my question would be, what's going to take longer? The Undertaker's entrance to the ring or the match itself?
That's actually a close one, but I tell you what'll be longer. The combined entrances will definitely be longer than the match.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, and one thing that I think WWE did well with Goldberg in his second run was that he was basically booked in a lot of squashes, which actually worked, because it didn't expose him for really his limitations that would be there. The challenge is they're not going to have him squash Taker.
Right.
So I'm actually kind of intrigued how they're actually going to do that match. The only thing I can think of is there's going to be some form of shenanigans of some kind,
I don't understand why you... Yeah. I do not understand why this wouldn't be a tag match of some kind. I don't understand.
I suspect perhaps it might be some Elias interference, or Lashley and Corbin interference, or I don't see that being an actual standalone singles match. I just don't see how they book that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. They'll probably do it, but it doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't know. There's ways you could do it. You could put Undertaker on a tag team, Bray Wyatt, put Bray Wyatt on the team with him. And, You got to wish Sting was healthy enough they could bring him back for one match. Or maybe he just doesn't want to do it because, I mean, you could figure out a way for him to be in a match where he doesn't have to take a bump, right?
Oh, absolutely. You could do that.
You know, take a hot tag, hit a stinger splash on somebody. But, you know, whatever. We're just dreaming here. But if that's a singles match, I can't imagine how terrible it'll be.
Yeah. And I'll be honest,
there's just no...
I've actually not watched any of the Saudi Arabia specials. Like, I'll read about it, I'll read what happens, but I don't know. Part of me just, I don't really feel like committing that time to what's basically an infomercial for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. I watched the Greatest Royal Rumble, but then the next one was the one where they did the stupid DX against the Kane and Undertaker, right?
Yes.
I'm sure that put butts in seats.
Well,
anyway.
Actually, probably it is because, I mean, either they're buying tickets or they're forced to be there. Well, they have no idea.
Well, that's true.
So,
like when WCW ran that show in North Korea.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
we
got any closing thoughts?
I'm just thinking maybe we could do an entire episode of wrestling with regimes, like North Korea, Saudi Arabia.
Indeed.
Maybe that's an idea for a later time.
Later time.
Yeah, well, I think we can definitely wrap things up here.
Yeah. All right, man. Great recording as always. Listeners out there, thanks for listening. Talk to you again next time.